Welcome back, everybody. This is another exciting episode of the terrific Every Other Thursday training videos. I'm Christopher Brandon with the Coeur d'Alene Public Library and the Cooperative Information Network.
And I'm George Williams. I'm the Next Search Catalog Coordinator at Northeast Kansas Library System.
So today, George is going to walk us through some adjustments that you can make to Koha to restrict patron circulation by borrower category and home library. But before we get started with that, here is a quick message about koha-US.
This video is sponsored by koha-US, your place to look for all things Koha. Whether you're just starting out with Koha or you've been with Koha for a while, koha-US is a great place to find resources, learn new tips and techniques, or connect with other users and libraries. Koha-US provides excellent information, both original and curated from around the internet, including the terrific Every Other Day training videos. You will also find several special interest groups to connect with, as well as our general monthly meeting where we gather to talk about the latest Koha news. You should also check out the koha-US annual conference, held at various locations around the US. This is a great opportunity to meet with other users face-to-face, and build your Koha network, as well as new friendships. And of course, don't forget about the great presentations. Koha-US is also actively involved in the Koha community by contributing towards new developments. If you are interested in contributing towards Koha-US funded developments, join the Koha-US membership. Your annual membership builds the funds to sponsor new developments in the community, and as a member, you also help shape Koha-US with your membership votes, and receive a discount on the annual conference. You can also contribute towards developments through a direct donation, or by purchasing some great Koha-US merchandise through our Threadless account. Visit us at koha-us.org to find out more.
All right, George, take it away.
Okay, so the reason that I thought this would be a good topic is this is something that we've done for years, but it was at a recent Koha-US circulation meeting. Somebody from, I'm not sure if it was the CLAMS Library Consortium or another consortium, said that, so the situation was that they had a specific patron category at one of their libraries that that library wants to restrict the circulation of materials to only so that the people that have that borrower category can only check out materials at their home library. So if for us, this would be a situation like if the patron's home library is Leavenworth and they want to go to the Ottawa library and check things out, they would be prevented from checking things out at the Ottawa library. And when this other consortium, when they brought this up, I said, oh, I know how to do that. It requires some jQuery. And they were really interested because they were hoping to have this kind of feature native in Koha, because the system that they migrated from had this feature native in that system. So let me just, well, the first thing I'll do is, it was a couple of weeks ago that they had this, that they mentioned that they wanted this idea. So to make it easy for them, to make it easy for me to explain to them what was going on, I just put a web page on my own website that it walks through how to do this.
Okay.
And so the first thing you need are some variables. I have some variables that I always use in my intranet user JS, that I create these variables at the beginning of the system preference, and that way anytime I want to use them, instead of having to write a selector that goes out and grabs the data, I can just use that variable and plug it into the jQuery. So
yeah,
the ones
I've started doing something very similar. So
yeah,
I have some global stuff that I reuse in various parts of jQuery. So when the thing is, when I share that in the library, I have to remember to go grab that stuff and include it in the library. Otherwise, it's like, this doesn't work.
Right.
We don't have those pieces. So
one of the ones I use a lot is just a variable I call URL. And all it does is the variable grabs the URL from the location bar on your browser, and it creates a variable that matches that. And then anytime you want to say, you know, you want to restrict piece of jQuery or JavaScript to a certain page, you can just say if URL equals, and then you can put that in there. And if the URL matches, then you've got, then the jQuery fires. And if it doesn't match, then it doesn't even run. So,
One
but in
thing I
this
would
one,
recommend, sorry,
yeah,
tangent.
go ahead.
One thing I would recommend, and something that I'm trying to practice doing, is if I am going to use something like that at the beginning of my jQuery, I want to name that variable something so that I realize, oh, this is a global variable. So I might start it with the word global.
Yeah.
And that way I know, okay, if I share this, I need to go grab that piece. So
Right. One of the things that I do is, and I can actually show you this on my system, is I actually, anytime I create a variable, I log it in the console. So logged in branch code is one of the variables that I create. And so anytime this way I don't have to remember what all the variables are. I can just
nice.
open up the console and I see them all right here, all the ones that I regularly use.
That's very cool.
So let me get back to here. But so the ones that I use in this for this code is I have one called borrower home raw, which just gets the data for the borrower home library every time that you're on a page, and it has this let me close that, and you have this details box up here. It's just going to grab this code and it's going to take out everything after the colon, and it's going to create a variable that stores that information so that when I need it, I can grab it.
Okay.
And then I have another one that's called short home, where it grabs this information, but it only grabs the first 5 characters. So in this case, for Ottawa, it would grab OTTAW. The reason that I do that is because I have 4 branches that all start with this, that are a part of a district. So there's the main library of Donovan County Library District in Troy, but then there's also Donovan County Elwood and Donovan County Wathena and Donovan County Highland. But that way, Koha sees that variable for all 4 of those libraries is DONIP. And that's unique to that district. So it gives the people at Elwood, it treats the borrowers that have a home library of Donovan County Elwood the same as the borrowers from Donovan County Highland. So that if I want to do something that allows all of it groups the libraries as one group, essentially. And then I've got it, and I log those to the console. And the web page explains in detail what all of those are doing. And then, so this is what we use it for here in Neckles is I have, every library has ILL accounts that work with the statewide ILL system. We use Share It statewide. And so if the example I'm using here is Ottawa, because they have essentially one library card for every library that they do ILL with in the entire state outside of Next Search Catalog. And so this is their account for Alma, Kansas, for the library in Alma, Kansas. And every library in our system practically has these cards that their category code is ILL. And the people in Ottawa, when they send something out to Share It, they will check it out to this Alma card. If they're sending a library item from Ottawa to Alma, they'll check it out to this account so that they know in Koha where the item is. But they don't want the people at Lansing to check out things to the Alma card that belongs to Ottawa. And why they don't want that to happen is, that's beside the point here. That's a philosophical discussion.
Right.
Why couldn't there just be one ILL card for all of the shared libraries, and then every library would use those cards? Because they don't want to, and they argue about it, and they fight about it. So what Ottawa wants is, they want, if somebody from, I'm logged in right now at Northeast Kansas Library System, if a staff member from Neckles logs in, opens up the Alma account, they don't want staff from Neckles to be able to check things out to this account.
Okay.
And so this code that's in this page, this section right here, works with those variables that are in that this code uses. And essentially what it's doing, I'm creating a variable up here called restricted borrower category, and the only one that we're using is ILL. So if the logged in branch name does not contain OTTAW or whatever, if the borrower's home library and the logged in library don't match, then it's going to run some code. So this is what it's like without the code. And if we reload the page, this is what staff outside of Ottawa will see if they try to check something out to this account. They'll get this message that says circulation on this account is limited to staff at Ottawa Library.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty simple code. It's just saying, if the first 5 letters of the home library don't match the first 5 letters of the logged in library, it hides that box and puts this message there. So it's pretty simple. The way that I think it could be refined, I'm just using one restricted. I only have one category that's restricted, and that's ILL. But I'm sure there's a way where if you had more than one category that was restricted, you, instead of creating a simple variable, you could create an array. And then you could say, if the borrower category is this or this, then fire the code. But I don't need that, so I've never written it that way. But I'm sure that there would be a way that you could probably do that. It's just I currently don't do that because I don't need to.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, it's when you initially showed this to me, it was like I was perplexed by it. It's like sometimes I feel like we do things to stop staff where they should know a little bit better.
Yeah,
but
totally.
I can't completely complain about it because I do something very similar in our system, but it's not as obvious. We give the ability for patrons to register online, but when they register online and they can place holds on things, when they come in, they forget part of the process. They're supposed to show a photo ID so that we can give them assign a library card to that account and can check out. But people are, and it also makes pulling holds a little weird because part of their card number is supposed to be on that, and so we make it evident on those hold slips that okay, this is self-registered, it's not complete, but also we do a similar thing. We look for that patron category and say, okay, well, if you're in self-registration, this is not a complete account. And we take away that checkout box and it says, cannot check out. The patron category cannot check out items. So, we just blanket it. We're not looking at the specific library that's logged in. We're just blanket that this category cannot check out. You need to finish the process before you can move on. So
yeah, it's no matter how much training you do to tell people, if A plus B is true, then don't proceed. No matter how many times you train people on that, if it's a situation you don't encounter every day, it's really easy to forget that training. That's why it's easy to train people how to check books in and how to check books out, because they do that all the time. But it's those weird conditions, it's those weird situations where, especially in a large group of libraries where maybe the training is uneven. The training is different at library A than library B, because library, in a consortium, library A and B will have different, they'll have different directors, they'll have different staff. The directors at some of our libraries, the directors have a master's in library science. At our smaller libraries, we often have directors that only have a high school diploma. At our larger libraries, those directors are full-time positions. Our smallest library, the director is like a 16-hour-a-week employee who not only checks things in and out, but they also vacuum the floors and clean the toilets. And they're far more likely to run into a situation where they have to go in and fix a toilet than they are where they have to check out items to an interlibrary loan card to being shipped to another part of the state. So it's really, the training is uneven, and having a system that you can adjust so that it doesn't allow people to move forward in those situations where the training is uneven, that's where automation really helps, to have, you know, things happen automatically when there's a weird situation.
Yeah.
The more you can do that, the better off you are, I think. So
Yeah. And you know, this isn't a highly complex hack. In fact,
no,
you know, I use different conditions for certain things, especially you know, I'm going outside the scope of what we're talking
right,
about for a little bit, but you know, I have conditions where in fact I just revamped our conditions where before 2305 there was no permission to in patron settings to allow or disallow patrons or people to change the library that they're logged in as. So there was no restriction on that. People
right,
change their branch willy-nilly. And so I put in conditions in there to watch for certain things and basically take that away, except for certain people in certain circumstances. Now I revamped that because they did create that permission. In fact, I had to go through all the staff and turn all those permissions off that they had to turn on by default, because that was the default behavior.
right.
Turned all that off, and then I was able to wipe out some of my code, but I still had certain conditions that I had to watch for. So, all right. Well, George, thank you for sharing that modification. I'm sure that some folks out there will find that helpful.
Yeah. And I put the link in the chat box so we can add it to the video. And I think I described it pretty well there. So,
yeah. All right. So just a reminder to everybody to make sure that you check us out on koha-us.org. You can find all our videos and all the training that koha-US supplies there, but you can also find the videos at youtube.com/koha-US, no dash. You can like and subscribe. You can do all the things that you need to do in order to stay up to date with our videos. So please check us out at either location. And we'll see everybody again in 2 weeks.
see you later.